and welcome to the Mycroft Studio education for our Two Red Robins Mice to Meet You collection. I am so excited to show you this USB. We've got new packaging for 2024. It's absolutely stunning and the content on this USB is phenomenal. Now, I do need to share something with you. So the USBs have arrived and we have our new case, which you can see here is a really lovely case. It has a magnet fastening. But the first delivery has arrived and the boxes are actually printed the wrong way around. So we're going to be honest with you, they are printed, they are supposed to open like a book, but however, it actually opens the wrong way. So if you want it to open like a book, the printing on there will be upside down. However, that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with the USB inside. Unfortunately, we don't have time to change it on this first delivery, but yes, rest assured, just think of it as a limited edition. It's a special edition case for our launch. But yes, we're very excited about this particular collection. It is our Mice to Meet You. It's the first outing of the new style Two Red Robins artwork from the same creator. All, the concept all by Stephanie, absolutely incredible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the USB into the computer and we'll work with the artwork from the USB. This is literally so hot off the press, I haven't installed the artwork onto here yet, so we're going to work from the USB. Which is also a good thing because I know a lot of you do ask how we do that once in a while as well. So we're going to pop the USB into the computer. Now there's only two ways to pop a USB in and I usually get it wrong. Yeah, I get it wrong every single time. I'm just going to pop that into there and it will pop up. So you can see there it brings up, we have SVG files and Mycroft Studio on this USB. I'm going to work with the Mycroft Studio files. And you can see here that the USB is actually appearing in this top left box. Now, if it doesn't appear just like this here, you can click on where it says this PC, or it may say my computer on your particular computer. And then you'll see a plus beside that. So click on there and you'll see the Mice to Meet You USB. Click on the plus there. I'm going to click on the plus beside MCS because I need to work with the Mycroft Studio artwork, not the SVG artwork. The SVG won't work in Mycroft Studio. So Mycroft Studio, we're going to click on the artwork just because we're working directly from the USB. So we're going to click on artwork because that's all we need for this particular way of working. We're going to click on the plus beside Mice to Meet You. And then you'll see on here, we've got scene building, reflections, digistamps, backgrounds and scenes. Now let's have a look at some of this scene building. These designs are incredible. We've been so excited about this and we've had to keep it secret for so long. So we have our causing a stir. Now look at how amazing the detail is on that one. He's climbing up the spoon. He's desperate to get onto that cake that's being iced. Look at this cake. It's just an absolute work of art. We've got Dizzy here. She is dancing with her strawberry. So is she pinching the strawberry? Is she bringing the strawberry to pop it on the cake? Who knows? You can make the story up yourself. We've got Laszlo here. He's just absolutely adorable. And Lucille, look how pretty. Lucinda, just adorable. And then we've got Mia as well. Now Mia's the web exclusive die for Mice to Meet You, but she's actually on the USB. And we've also got our setting the table set as well. So you can see here, we've got all the cakes, we've got all the candles to pop into the cake. So if you wanted to pop a candle on top of the cake, you have that there. We've got loads and loads of different candles. We've got the little almost worn down candles, maybe they're burnt out. And then we've also got our think outside the pots. So you've got the teapot here and we've got our Star Baker. Star Baker is just so cute. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a little bit of a scene. So I'm going to just Control A to select everything on the page. We also have the select all button up at the top. And I'm just going to delete everything off there. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with our table. So I'm going to pop the table onto here and then we're going to see. So you can see they're dressing the table or, maybe they're tidying up, maybe the party's over, but I actually think they're dressing the table. So we are going to pop. And do we want the full cake or do we want the small cake? So let's go with the small cake. This is just the top tiers from the cake. And then it's up to you how big or small you actually have it on the table. So we're going to pop that there. I'm just going to zoom into the page a little bit more so that you can see more of the detail. And then I'm going to bring our Laszlo on. Now Laszlo is actually sat at the table, but I think I want him sat over this side. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to right click, I'm going to flip, and I'm going to flip him horizontally so that he's still sat at the table, but he's sat at the opposite side. I love the fact that we can do this with digital crafting, because obviously, you know, the dies are fabulous, but you can't actually flip the design. But you can see here, we're going to position him just so that his elbow is just resting on that table just there. So he's just sat observing the world and watching the rest of them get the cake ready and get ready for the party. So we've got the cake on the table. I think we're going to have causing a stir. We're going to make him really small. I'm going to pop him just on here so he's actually climbing up the cake. So I'm going to shrink him down. So this is where we can add some real detail into our projects. I'm going to rotate it around. If I zoom into the page so that you can actually see the detail in here. And what I love about this is that we can add these little tiny details in, and people will actually, they'll spot these, you know, the more, it's one of those where the more they look at the card or the gift that you give them, the more detail they'll actually see. So you can see we've got him there climbing up, ready to clamber onto the cake. Where should we pop Dizzy? Let's pop Dizzy behind the table. So we're gonna right click and we're gonna send her to the back. So she's behind the table. I'm gonna bring her up here a little bit. So let's reduce her in size a little bit as well. So we're going to pop her down there. Now Dizzy is the one who comes with the strawberry as well. So we're going to pop the strawberry onto the page, but also going to shrink that down. And shrink it down and pop it so it's just in her hand, just there. So you can see she's got her hand positioned. So she's bringing the strawberry, like, oh, I'm here, I'm helping, I'm ready to help with the cake. And let's let her do that little bit of decoration, but then I think we need Mia over this side as well. So we're going to right click and flip her as well. So we're going to flip horizontally. And you know what? Maybe she's actually popping the cake onto the table. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on the cake. I'm going to go to order and I'm going to bring it forwards by a few layers so that it comes actually in front of all of these. So I'm going to bring it to the front, and there you can see now Mia is actually placing the cake onto the table, and we've got the little causing a stir critter just climbing up the cake there. So she's decorating it. We've got Dizzy, she's careering in, ready to plonk that strawberry on the top of the cake. Let's pop a candle in there. So what colour candle do we want? I think we've got a pink cake, so I think we don't want a pink candle. Let's go with one of these candles that's almost burnt down. So you can see here there's lots and lots of wax down towards the bottom. Just going to pop this on here, and we're going to pop that on top of the cake, just like so. I'm going to rotate it around a little bit, pop it onto there, and there's the cake on top of the candle on top of the cake even. I'm going to just zoom out of the page. I'm going to select everything on the page. So there's a couple of ways to do that. We can click and drag a box over the whole of the area. So you can see we've selected all of those items, or we can press the select all button over at the top. And then that actually grabs hold of everything. Now at the moment, if we start to resize, you'll see that it resizes the pieces individually. So what we need to do is press the group button, and then we can resize this scene. So you can see now we can actually resize it and pop it onto the page. And in any size that we want, so we can actually pop it onto the page there. We can copy and we can paste. So I'm just right clicking on my mouse to get this extra menu, click and copy and paste, and then we can actually shrink it down so we can have a couple of different sizes on here as well. So we can actually make different projects with the same composition. Just going to pop that one down there. But what we're actually going to do with this bottom one is we're going to come down and we're going to right click and go grouping and ungroup. And I'm actually going to take Laszlo out of this particular scene. And I think we're going to pop our Star Baker in this one. So this time, the story is that we're actually still constructing the cake. And maybe, you know, maybe Mia's decided she wants another layer on the cake. So Star Baker's coming in and saying, look, okay, so how much more cake do we need? You know, we're actually composing our own little stories here. And I love the fact that we can create so many stories. You know, once we've ungrouped it, we can actually take Dizzy out. We can also move her over here if we want to, so she's actually closer to the cake. Pop her over here with the strawberry, or maybe the strawberry's flying through the air. Maybe she's actually thrown the strawberry onto the cake. And she's actually ready to just scarp her because she's off in a hurry because she knows she's in trouble for throwing the strawberry. So you can see there we've built a couple of scenes, and it's so simple. All we're doing is dragging the elements onto the page. Literally drag and drop onto the page. To resize it, pop your mouse over the top of one of the corners and just click and drag the mouse away from to make it bigger and towards the image to make it smaller. Very, very, very simple. What we can also do is we can save the file as well. So I'm going to create a new file in here called Mice to Meet You, which is where I'm going to save all of the files that we create in this particular class. And I'm going to call this one our scene. So we're going to save that particular one there. We can also save it as a JPEG file, and that means that it will actually be ready for us to just literally print out. So we don't even have to open Minecraft Studio to print the JPEG file out, and you can take that file into other software if you wanted to. But you can see we've actually got that on this page ready. I'm going to create a new page now, and I'm going to do something that we don't usually do with the scene building USBs. So we don't usually tend to explore the reflections on the scene building USBs. So I just wanted to show you. Just going to get this one onto the page. Actually, I wanted to, as Lucille, because that's, we're not supposed to have favourites, but I do think she's my favourite because she's just so delicate and pretty. I'll pop her onto the page, and I'm actually going to use our scissors tool. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to draw around her dress. If I just zoom into the page a little bit more, I'm going to use the lasso knife. So what I do now, I've clicked on there and you'll see the image has faded out. So what I do is I click and drag around with my mouse. So all I need to do is go along here, along the neckline of her dress, and then come around the bottom. And you'll see there, we're going to come around the bottom, all the way around the ribbon on her dress, and then I let go of the mouse. And you see now we've actually selected that area of her dress. So if I just zoom out of the page and I copy, and then I right click and paste, it's actually pasted another one of those dresses directly over the top. So if I go to the Layers tab, you'll see we've actually got this one here, which is a copy of this particular one. So it's called TR13333, which is the die number, and then Lucille. We also have a copy of that one, which is the actual element that we've just copied from it. If I switch this one off, you'll see we actually have just the dress element there. So if I click onto this top layer and then come into the Effects tab, and I use the hue slider, we can actually change the colour of the dress on that particular reflection. So you can see we're changing that dress, and it's changing all of the blues and yellows and purples in that area to shades of red, shades of green, shades of blue. What we can also do is we can rainbow it, so it will actually change the pinks to different shades so you can see we're getting different colours in there. Really, really like that one. So we're going to save that one. So we're just going to let go of the slider. What I'm actually going to do now is I'm going to come over here, I'm going to right click and copy, and right click and paste. And that's going to pop another one of those on the page for me. So we're just going to pop this over here, and we're going to rotate it around, but I'm going to hold on to my shift button down on my keyboard, because that will actually snap it around. So I'm just going to undo what I just did there. So you see we've got this circle above the centre top of the image. So you can see as I click and drag this around, it tells me what angle we're working at. If I hold down the shift button, so you see it's going 1 degree at a time. The second I actually hold the shift button down, it doesn't actually move until it gets to 45-degree angles, which means that we can actually snap this around to exactly the right angle that we've positioned this one on the page for you. And then we can pop that straight over the top. So now we can actually change the colour on this one. So that's the saturation. I didn't want to change the saturation, we just want to change the colour a little bit. So the rainbow slider, so we're going to move that along just a little bit more. And then we're going to copy and paste that one again. And we're going to move that one over to this one here. So you can see we just position it just so that that neckline is in the same place. And then we're going to use the rainbow slider a little bit more on this one. So you can see there we've got some gorgeous oranges and greens coming through in this particular sheet. So then if we come back to this one here, because that's in the same position as this one, and then we copy and paste again, so that's actually popped another one on directly on top of that one. I'm going to bring this one down here, and we're going to use the rainbow slider on this one again. So we're going to go over to those oranges, and then we're going to come back to here. So just come back down to here, so it's a little bit more orange. But I'm actually going to take the brightness up just a little bit as well, just to soften it a bit more. So you can see the difference between the two there. So this one's quite strong, this one's quite pale. So then we're going to copy and paste this one again. So copy and paste, I'm going to move that one over to here, again making sure that the neckline is aligned. And to do that, all I'm doing is just making sure that when I pop this in position, that the area, so I'm looking at this particular piece here, so there's the actual end area here, just making sure that I get that piece directly over this piece, because then I know that the die will match when we actually cut this out again. So I'm actually going to take this one all the way back to the beginning. And I'm going to just take some saturation out of that one. So that she's got almost, I'm going to go a little bit more on the brightness on that one. Actually bring a little bit more of the saturation back. So she's looking a little bit more bridal on that one. And then we're going to copy and paste one of these ones here. So again, copy and paste. And then we'll just pull that one down. So we're just going to come down here to this one here. And again, I'm just making sure that that area on the neck is lined up perfectly. And then we're going to come back and let's have a look what we're going to do with this one. Let's go, actually I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my scissors and I'm going to cut around this ribbon. So I'm just going to, so every click with my mouse is a snip with a pair of virtual scissors. So I'm going quite roughly on this one. I would do it in a lot more detail at home if you're going to use this, particularly with the die, so that you make sure that the cut lines on the die are aligned to where the actual cuts are. But you can see here I'm just going around this ribbon and then I'm going to come around here. Once I get out to the end, I can come all the way around and sneak back into the top. I'm going to come around this bit here and then just around these pink areas here. And then we go around this particular bow and then we come back and then we just need to make sure when we get back to the beginning that line changes from black to blue. So this line here, when you get back to the beginning, it actually changes to blue. And when that line is blue, it means that when you click, the red area you've selected is actually going to change to blue. So you've actually completed the selection now. I can move my mouse and we're not doing any more selection. So what I need to do now is just zoom out of the page so that I can see that box underneath. I'm going to keep the inner and you'll see now that what we've actually done on this one, so this one here has got the pink ribbon with the green dress, but this one has actually got the pink ribbon with the blue dress because we've only changed the colour of the layer that is on top, that is the ribbon. So if I just copy and paste that one now and position this one over the top of this one here, and because we've actually cut out the detail within the design, so if I just move this over here, you can see that we just need to make sure that we position this straight over the top, just to make sure that that's all covered. And then we can change the colour of the ribbon again, so that we can have the ribbon any colour that we like. So the original colour is yellow, so actually I think let's maybe go with a blue on this particular one. So what we've done now is we've actually changed our reflection sheet to have 8 different versions of Lucille on there. So what we need to do to actually print this out is save as, and save as a JPEG, and we'll call it Lucille. So click on save, and you'll see there we've actually, so at the moment with this one, all of these pieces that we've actually created are separate. So if I just save that as a Minecraft Studio file as well, and we'll call it Lucille. But at the moment, we can actually come in and we can remove any of these, or I can come back in and I can change this one. So we can, we can take that one back down to the beginning and we can just make it a completely blue dress with blue ribbon, which looks beautiful anyway. But also what we have now, if I go back to the files, and back up to our documents folder, I have my Mice to Meet You folder, and you'll see here I have the Lucille file, which is a JPEG that I've saved, and you see we can now print that one out as a sheet of reflections and actually use that one with our die. Now the reason we have to be careful when we're working with the reflections files that work with the dies is to make sure you don't change the size. So you see I've done all of that cutting and pasting and changing the colours and everything, but I haven't changed the size of anything whilst I've actually done those changes, because if you change the size of anything, it won't actually fit the die anymore. So just don't change the size, but you can still play with the graphics program and the reflections. You don't have to just use the reflections as they are. And then something else I wanted to show you with the reflections as well. So if I just clear the grid and ruler again, I'm going to come back to the reflections. Excuse me. I'm just going to bring on a cake, and I'm going to use the scissors, and I'm just going to roughly cut this cake out here. So we're just going with that one just there, and then again we get back to the beginning, and the black line changes to blue, and then the red area will change to blue. We're going to keep the inner, so we've actually got rid of the rest of that particular sheet. So we know that we haven't changed the size of that one, we've just cut it from the sheet. And that means that we can still use that die. We can still use, it's a piece of cake die with that particular piece. So if we now bring on the cup and saucer, which is our Brutiful, we'll bring on that and we'll use this one here. So again, we're going to use the scissors and we're going to just click around this one. And because we're just literally doing a little bit of cutting, it's as if you've printed out your sheets, but you're actually choosing which elements you're going to die cut later. What we're going to do is just get a couple more bits on here. Now this one, because of the way this one has actually been saved by the fabulous graphic designers, we can crop this one. So you can see there we can crop. So to crop, we click on the button in the image tools that says crop. So it's next to the scissors and the lasso knife that we've been working with. And we can click and drag a box over the whole of the area that we want. Let go, press OK, and there's Laszlo for us. And again, I haven't changed the size of any of these pieces, so they will still fit the dies. And then if I go with our, let's go with, who shall we go with? Let's go with Lucinda on this one. And again, we'll just crop this one. So another way to crop is to just literally click on the image, and you can just click and drag up these boxes. So the blue boxes that we use to resize, you can actually, once you've clicked on crop and clicked onto the image, they will activate and you can actually bring those edges in. So we're going to pop her onto the page as well. Pop her just there. And finally, let's have our, do you know what, I'm going to say finally, I'm going to put another couple of pieces on here. So we're going to have one of our piping bags. I'm going to pop this one on, we're going to have one of the larger ones. So I'm going to use the lasso knife, and again, I'm just going to just quickly draw around. So all the way around here, like so. And then we're going to keep the inner, so we've got rid of the outer area. And then I'm going to bring on Dizzy, and we're going to have her, I'm going to crop her as well. So click onto there and then just bring these edges in to crop the one that we want. Actually, you know, if you wanted to have two on the page, so let's go with that one. So we'll have two of her on the page. And you can see when we actually cut her out, she could actually be jumping on the piping bag now. So we can actually, you know, you can start to decide how you're going to construct your projects while you're actually deciding which elements you're actually going to cut out. But what we've done here now is we've created an A4 sheet that has actually got all the elements on it that will work with the die. So these will work with the dies because we haven't changed the sizes. In the reflections folder, it is incredibly important you do not change the sizes. But what we've done is we've literally just cut out all of the elements that we want to work with, rather than printing out the full page of all the different sizes of cake. And then take the elements out that you're going to use to create your project, and then you can actually just print that as your own unique reflection sheet. So that's another way of using the reflections in Minecraft Studio, and it's really, really helpful if you're wanting to be a little bit more frugal with your paper or your ink. You know, maybe you know you're only going to use 2 or 3 of the sizes of cake predominantly, and then maybe the larger one you'll use as a card shape, so you wouldn't necessarily want to print out the reflection for that one. Then you can actually be really, really choosy as to which elements of these sheets you actually print out. So you can save this again. So we'll save that as a reflection sheet, as a JPEG, and we'll do save as there. And then we'll just quickly have a look at some of the digi-stamps we've got on here as well. So I'm just going to clear down the grid and the ruler. I'm going to bring on a couple of these. You can see here we've got our Dizzy there. Again, the gorgeous little girl that we've just been looking at. Perfect for colouring in. The digi-stamps are literally a digital version of our design, so it's a digital stamp So it's just as if you have stamped the image with a stamp and an ink pad, but it's a digital version. The beauty of these is that you can resize them, so you can see we can have all of these different increments all the way from A4 in size. You can go A3 if you have an A3 printer. You can see we've still got all the stunning detail in there. The lines aren't pixelated, nothing's going soft. Everything is still perfectly detailed for you. And we have the Digi-Stamps. Now they are black when you start to work with them. And we saw when we were changing the colours on Lucille's dress that I used this particular section on the colour sliders for changing the colours of those elements. With the black digital stamps, the first thing we need to do is move one of the colour boost sliders over to the right. Any of them, it doesn't matter which one you actually use. I'm just going to use the red one, so just move that one over. And then you can see we can actually move the hue slider, and then you've actually got all of these stamps in any size that you like, but also in any colour that you like, because you can get to a colour that you like and you can actually use the brightness slider to take it into pastels as well. So you've got all of these different colours and different options on your Digi-Stamps as well. There is so much on this USB, and I have only looked at the Minecraft Studio side of it. There is also the SVG section to this USB. So, you know, you are going to have great fun exploring this one. So I hope that you have enjoyed this class, and I hope that you've learned something. Maybe one of those little tricks with the reflections isn't something that you've thought of before. Maybe it is. Let us know, you know, and if there's something particular you want to see, let us know that as well. But yes, thank you for joining me, and have great fun with this particular one. I can't wait to see what you create with this one. The stories are going to be incredible. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
If you want to see more from Highlight Crafts, make sure you click the like button. Subscribe by clicking the subscribe button below, and click the bell icon to receive notifications of our future content. You can also click here to see our latest video, or click here to see more videos like this one.